19 minutes to 9 is the time. At what stage is it right for scientists to intervene to treat serious hereditary disease? A citizens' jury of people living with genetic conditions has considered these matters, and their thoughts are being considered in turn by the third International Summit on Human Genome Editing as it gets underway. The jury voted, by the way, in favour of asking the government to consider changing existing law to allow genome editing of embryos. Professor Anna Middleton is on the line, Professor and Director of the Kavli Centre for Ethics, Science and the Public at the University of Cambridge, and Professor Tom Shakespeare as well, Professor of Disability Research at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
What are we talking about, Professor Middleton, when it comes to what is possible at the moment?
So we know that the science of genome editing is now at a stage where it is possible to accurately change the DNA of us. And there's some incredible clinical trials that are happening at the moment to cure and treat very specific genetic conditions. So, for example, sickle cell disease. And when we think about treatments, we often think about treating an adult who is affected by disease. And so the ethical question that we were debating in our citizens' jury was, well, what happens if we think about preventing genetic disease? And so what about preventing a condition before it happens in childhood? And then what about treating a baby when it's in the womb before it's born? And then the next step before that would be treating an embryo, so a fertilized egg. And what's the difference between all of those?
And where did they draw the line? What is the difference ethically?
Well, often what happens is it's scientists and clinicians and policymakers and the law that makes a very clear division between treatment of adults versus treatment of an embryo, whereas public and patient voices are not often part of that debate and discussion. And so for our citizens' jury, we posed that specific question to them. And what they overwhelmingly said was, we want to be part of debate. We've been missing from the discussion in this space. And some of those people that were part of the jury, all of them were genetics patients. Some of them felt the genetic condition in my family is so severe, I couldn't bear the thought of it carrying on for future generations. And so I would want to embrace embryo editing. And then others in the jury were very, very anti and felt that this is a step too far. This is really crossed the line. And what really, came out from the jury was that we have to debate this now. The technology is here. We have to discuss it.
Do you think, Tom Shakespeare, Professor Shakespeare, that the jury was right, that is an important line, at least to think about, whatever side of it you come on?
I don't think this was a citizens' jury. I think it was a deliberative focus group with a group of people affected. The principle of a jury is that you are tried by people who do not have a vested interest in what you decide. This would be like going to court for burglary and finding that the jury was all people who'd experienced burglary. I do think that citizens' juries are important. I do think it's very important to hear the views of people affected. And Anna has done loads of really, really good work in that. But I don't agree with this. And I don't agree with Anna when she says that gene editing is safe. The group led by Kathy Neerkam at the Francis Crick Institute used CRISPR, this technology, to delete a gene in embryos, and they found 50% had unintended edits around the site of the change. So there are loads of off-target effects, and I think it's way too early to be thinking of research with embryos.
But in a sense, Professor Shakespeare, isn't that a separate issue? There are practical issues for sure, but the ethical one is still the point at which it is reasonable to treat disease and to treat disease in this way, and whether a line should always be drawn at the stage of an embryo or not.
Well, I think safety is ethical, and I don't think you should have heritable changes to the human genome. And that's the problem,
right.
That's the risk.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Because that is what potentially we would be creating.
I don't think we're ready for that because it's not safe and because we're not sure we want to change human beings.
Is that Professor Middleton, is that a fair point to make, that and that the kind of key, the nub of all of this? If you are making changes at such an early stage that those changes are then heritable, you are doing something that is unstoppable in future generations, and the very fact that you can't know what long-term effect it has should stop us even thinking about doing it.
Yes, absolutely, and that should be part of the debate. We don't know the longer term impact, and the worrying thing is that the science is pushing ahead so incredibly fast. So I'm actually currently at the third International Summit of Human Genome Editing now. It started yesterday, and the science is incredible. It's not going to be too far away until it is completely accurate. I mean, you can hear the scientists talking now. It's going to be a matter of years away before it's going to be completely accurate. So we can't wait for that point to be starting to debate this. We have to be discussing it now. What kind of society do we want? This is what we have to be thinking about. And the reason that we asked specifically genetics patients was because we're very aware of the existing genomic medicine services. I used to work in the genomic medicine service in the NHS, and they are going to be the people that this is going to apply to. And so we've been derailing the discussion about this by talking about designer babies and playing God and enhancement. Put all of that to one side. There are serious genetic conditions that are being talked about, families worked with in the NHS right now, and they want to be part of the debate about where this technology is going.
Well, look, it's a debate we will continue in the years to come. Anna Middleton, Professor Anna Middleton, and Professor Tom Shakespeare as well. Thank you both very much.